The sea had a way of whispering secrets, especially when the midnight bell tolled from the old Harborview lighthouse. It was a relic of a bygone era, standing tall yet desolate, with its cracked windows and weather-beaten walls. I, Miguel Vasquez, never thought I would find myself drawn to its mystery, but fate has a peculiar sense of humor. It all began when Elliot Brooks, a renowned investigator with an insatiable curiosity for the supernatural, received an urgent call from the town's mayor. Harborview, a quaint coastal town, had recently been plagued by a series of tragic shipwrecks. Ships that once safely navigated the waters were now being led astray, their wreckage washing up on the shore, leaving the town in a state of dread. Elliot and I had been friends for years, our bond forged through countless adventures and investigations. His sharp mind complemented my historical knowledge, and together we made quite the team. When he called me about the Harborview case, I knew I couldn't resist the allure of another mystery. We arrived in Harborview on a foggy afternoon, the air thick with anticipation. The townsfolk were on edge, their eyes filled with a mix of fear and suspicion. Whispers of the haunted lighthouse and the ghostly keeper were everywhere. We made our way to the mayor's office, where we were greeted by Mayor Thompson, a portly man with worry lines etched deeply into his face. "Thank you for coming, Mr. Brooks, Mr. Vasquez," he said, shaking our hands. "The town is in a state of panic. We need answers, and we need them fast." Elliot nodded, his expression grave. "We'll do everything we can, Mayor. Can you tell us more about the shipwrecks?" Mayor Thompson sighed, sinking into his chair. "It started 3 months ago. At first, it was just one ship, a small fishing boat. We thought it was an accident, but then it happened again and again. Each time, the wreckage was found near the lighthouse. The survivors spoke of a ghostly figure and a bell tolling at midnight." "A ghostly figure?" I interjected, my curiosity piqued. "Yes," the mayor replied. "The old lighthouse keeper, or so they say. His spirit has been seen wandering the grounds. They say he made a deal with the sea witch to save his family, but it came with a curse that demands a new soul every decade." Elliot leaned forward, his eyes intense. "We need access to the lighthouse and any historical records you have on the keeper." Mayor Thompson handed us a set of keys and a thick folder of documents. "The lighthouse is yours to investigate. The records are all we have left. Please, find out what's happening and put an end to it." With our mission clear, we set out for the lighthouse, its silhouette looming ominously in the distance. The journey was short but felt like an eternity. Each step weighted with the unknown. As we approached the entrance, the air grew colder, and an unsettling silence enveloped us. The lighthouse door creaked open, revealing a spiral staircase that seemed to stretch endlessly upward. We ascended cautiously, our footsteps echoing through the hollow structure. At the top, we found the keeper's quarters, a small, cluttered room filled with personal belongings and maritime paraphernalia. Elliot began examining the documents, while I sifted through the keeper's possessions. Among the dusty books and faded photographs, I found a weathered journal. Its pages were brittle, but the writing was still legible. The entries detailed the keeper's life, his love for his family, and his desperate plea to the sea witch. "I found something," I said, handing the journal to Elliot. "It's the keeper's journal. It might give us more insight into his pact." Elliot flipped through the pages, his brow furrowed in concentration. "This is invaluable. The keeper's desperation is palpable. He was willing to do anything to save his family." As we delved deeper into the journal, we uncovered the tragic tale of the keeper, whose name was Samuel Hartley. His wife and child had fallen ill, and conventional medicine had failed them. In his despair, he turned to the sea witch, a mysterious figure who promised to save his family in exchange for a binding curse. Every decade, a new soul was to be claimed by the sea, ensuring the witch's continued power. The journal also revealed that Samuel had initially resisted the pact, but the sea witch's allure proved too strong. The curse had haunted him, and now his spirit lingered, bound by the agreement he had made. As we finished reading, the lighthouse bell began to toll, sending chills down our spines. It was midnight, and the air grew thick with an otherworldly presence. Elliot and I exchanged a glance, our resolve unwavering. We knew that breaking the curse would require more than just understanding its origins. The lighthouse loomed over us, a silent sentinel standing guard against the encroaching darkness. The weight of Samuel Hartley's tragic tale hung heavy in the air as we descended the spiral staircase. Each creaking step seemed to echo the desperation and despair that had driven the keeper to make his fateful pact. Elliot and I exchanged glances, our minds racing with questions and possibilities. We needed more information, more clues to understand the depth of the Sea Witch's curse and how we could break it. The journal had given us a glimpse into the past, but there were still many unanswered questions. Who was the Sea Witch? What did she gain from the pact? And most importantly, how could we put an end to the curse that had claimed so many lives? Back on the ground floor, we decided to split up to cover more ground. Elliot would continue examining the documents in the lighthouse, while I would head to the town archives in search of additional records. As we parted ways, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, the eyes of the past and the present converging upon us. The town archives were housed in an old brick building near the town square. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of aged paper and leather-bound volumes. The librarian, Mrs. Abernathy, greeted me with a warm smile, her eyes twinkling with curiosity. "Mr. Vasquez, how can I assist you today?" she asked, her voice tinged with a hint of excitement. News of our investigation had clearly spread, and the townsfolk were eager for answers. "I'm looking for any records or documents related to the old lighthouse and its keeper, Samuel Hartley," I replied. "Specifically, I'm interested in local folklore and any mention of a sea witch." Mrs. Abernathy nodded knowingly and led me to a section of the archives filled with dusty tomes and fragile manuscripts. "You'll find what you're looking for here. Harborview has a rich history of maritime legends and ghost stories. I've always found them fascinating." I thanked her and began my search, poring over the records with a meticulous eye. As I sifted through the pages, I stumbled upon a collection of old newspaper clippings detailing various shipwrecks and unexplained disappearances over the years. Each incident seemed to coincide with the decade-long cycle mentioned in Hartley's journal. Among the clippings, I found an article from 1891, recounting a harrowing tale of a shipwreck that had claimed the lives of an entire crew. The sole survivor, a young sailor, spoke of a ghostly figure and a haunting melody that lured their ship to its doom. The survivor's account mirrored the recent testimonies of the shipwreck victims, adding credibility to the curse's existence. Further investigation led me to a series of handwritten letters, correspondence between Samuel Hartley and his contemporaries. The letters painted a vivid picture of Hartley's descent into despair and his desperate search for a solution to his family's plight. One letter, in particular, caught my attention. It was addressed to a woman named Eliza, who seemed to be a close confidant of Hartley's. In the letter, Hartley recounted his first encounter with the Sea Witch, describing her as a mesmerizing yet malevolent figure. He spoke of her promises and the high price he had to pay for her assistance. The letter ended with a cryptic warning: "Beware the witch's wrath, for her power knows no bounds." Eliza's reply, though brief, offered some solace. She urged Hartley to seek redemption and to find a way to break the curse, even if it meant sacrificing himself. Her words hinted at a possible solution, a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. I carefully transcribed the letters and made my way back to the lighthouse, eager to share my findings with Elliot. As I approached the entrance, I noticed a flicker of movement in the shadows. My heart raced, but when I turned to look, there was nothing there. Shaking off the unease, I entered the lighthouse and found Elliot deep in thought, surrounded by a sea of documents. "I found something," I said, handing him the transcriptions. Letters between Hartley and a woman named Eliza. They shed some light on his dealings with the Sea Witch. Elliot read the letters, his expression growing more intense with each passing word. "These are incredibly valuable, Miguel. Eliza's warnings and Hartley's descriptions align with the accounts we've gathered. The curse is real, and the Sea Witch's power is formidable. We need to understand more about the witch herself," I said. "What drives her? What are her weaknesses? Elliot nodded in agreement. There must be something in these documents that can help us. Let's keep digging. As we continued our research, we uncovered more details about the sea witch, whose true name was Morgana. According to local folklore, Morgana was once a powerful sorceress who had been wronged by the townspeople of Harborview. Seeking vengeance, she turned to the sea, drawing upon its dark magic to exact her revenge. The stories spoke of Morgana's ability to control the tides and summon storms, her power growing with each soul she claimed. Her lair was said to be hidden within a secluded cove, protected by treacherous waters and ancient enchantments. Breaking the curse would require not only confronting Morgana, but also dismantling the magical barriers that shielded her lair. As we pieced together the fragments of the past, a chilling realization dawned upon us. The curse was not just a punishment for Hartley's desperation. It was a manifestation of Morgana's fury and a testament to her enduring wrath. To break the curse, we would need to face her head-on and find a way to weaken her power. Night had fallen by the time we concluded our research. The lighthouse stood shrouded in darkness, the only light coming from the flickering candles that cast eerie shadows on the walls. As we prepared to leave, the lighthouse bell began to toll once more, a haunting melody that seemed to resonate with the very essence of the curse. Elliot and I exchanged a determined glance. We knew that our journey was far from over, and the true test of our resolve lay ahead. The secrets of the lighthouse had been unearthed, but the path to breaking the curse was fraught with danger and uncertainty. With a renewed sense of purpose, we left the lighthouse and made our way to the inn. The streets of Harborview were eerily quiet, the townsfolk having retreated to the safety of their homes. As we walked, the weight of our task pressed heavily upon us, but we were undeterred. The lives of countless sailors depended on our success, and we were determined to see it through. Back at the inn, we reviewed our findings and devised a plan. We would need to gather more information on Morgana's lair and the magical barriers that protected it. Additionally, we would seek out any remaining artifacts or relics that could aid us in our quest. The next morning, we set out to speak with the townsfolk, hoping to glean more information about Morgana and her lair. Our first stop was the harbor, where we met Captain Hayes, a weathered sailor with a wealth of knowledge about the local waters. He had heard the legends of Morgana and offered to guide us to the cove where she was said to reside. "The cove is treacherous," Captain Hayes warned. "The waters are unpredictable, and the entrance is well hidden. But if anyone can find it, it's me." Grateful for his assistance, we boarded his fishing boat and set sail. The journey was fraught with peril, the churning waves and jagged rocks testing our resolve. As we neared the cove, the water grew eerily calm, and a thick mist enveloped us, obscuring our vision. Captain Hayes skillfully navigated through the fog, guiding us to the entrance of the cove. The sight that greeted us was both awe-inspiring and foreboding. The cove was a natural amphitheater, its walls lined with ancient runes and symbols that pulsed with a dark energy. "This is it," Captain Hayes said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Morgana's lair lies beyond those rocks. I'll wait here and pray for your safe return." Elliot and I thanked the captain and disembarked, our hearts pounding with anticipation. The path ahead was steep and treacherous, but we pressed on, guided by the faint glow of the runes. As we ventured deeper into the cove, the air grew thick with an oppressive energy, each step feeling like a battle against an unseen force. At the heart of the cove, we found a hidden entrance leading to an underground chamber. The walls were lined with shelves filled with ancient tomes and artifacts, the remnants of Morgana's dark legacy. In the center of the chamber stood an altar, upon which rested a large, ornate mirror. The mirror radiated a sinister aura, its surface swirling with dark, inky tendrils. We knew that this was the source of Morgana's power, the key to breaking the curse. Elliot and I approached the altar cautiously, our minds racing with the implications of our discovery. Suddenly, the air around us crackled with energy, and a ghostly figure materialized before us. It was Samuel Hartley, his form translucent and ethereal. His eyes were filled with a mix of sorrow and determination, a reflection of the torment he had endured. "You have come to end this curse," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "I am bound by the pact I made, but I will aid you in any way I can." Elliot and I exchanged a glance, our determination unwavering. Samuel Hartley's presence was a testament to the severity of the curse, and his willingness to help gave us a sense of hope. "We need to know how to weaken Morgana's power," Elliot said, stepping forward. "What can we do to break the curse?" Samuel's gaze fell upon the mirror on the altar. The mirror is the source of her power. It allows her to control the tides and summon storms. Destroying it will weaken her, but it will not be easy. The mirror is protected by powerful enchantments, and Morgana will stop at nothing to protect it. Elliot studied the mirror, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Is there a way to dispel the enchantments?" Samuel nodded. "Yes, but it will require a great deal of strength and resolve. The enchantments are tied to Morgana's essence, and breaking them will require confronting her directly. You must also gather the 3 relics that were used to create the pact: the talisman, the vial, and the map. Together, they hold the key to severing her connection to the mirror." "We have the relics," I said, pulling them from my bag. "What do we need to do?" "Place the relics on the altar," Samuel instructed. "Then, use the talisman to channel your intent and focus your energy on breaking the enchantments. It will not be easy, but it is the only way." Elliot and I exchanged a determined nod and placed the relics on the altar. The air grew thick with an oppressive energy, and the chamber seemed to pulse with a malevolent force. We grasped the talisman, its surface cool and smooth, and began to chant the incantation from Hartley's journal. As we chanted, the mirror's surface began to ripple, and a dark, swirling vortex appeared within. The air crackled with energy, and the chamber was filled with an otherworldly hum. We could feel Morgana's presence growing stronger, her fury palpable. Suddenly, the mirror shattered, sending shards of glass flying in all directions. The ground trembled, and a gust of wind swept through the chamber, extinguishing the candles. In the darkness, we could hear Morgana's voice, filled with anger and defiance. "You dare defy me?" she hissed, her voice echoing through the cove. "You will pay for your insolence." A blinding light filled the chamber, and Morgana's figure materialized before us. Her eyes glowed with an unholy fire, and her presence radiated an overwhelming power. We stood our ground, our resolve unwavering. "You have no power here, Morgana," Elliot declared, his voice steady. "The curse ends tonight." Morgana's laughter was chilling, but her form flickered, a sign that the destruction of the mirror had weakened her. "You are foolish to think you can defeat me. My power is eternal, and my wrath knows no bounds." Summoning all our strength, we channeled the energy of the relics and directed it towards Morgana. The air crackled with energy, and the chamber was filled with a blinding light. Morgana let out a piercing scream as her form began to waver and dissolve. "No, this cannot be," she shrieked, her voice filled with desperation. With one final surge of energy, we shattered the last of the enchantments, and Morgana's form disintegrated into a cloud of dark mist. The chamber grew silent, and the oppressive energy dissipated, replaced by a sense of peace and relief. Exhausted but triumphant, we collapsed to the ground, our breaths coming in ragged gasps. Samuel Hartley's spirit appeared before us once more, his expression one of gratitude and relief. "You have done it," he said, his voice filled with awe. "The curse is broken, and the souls she claimed are free. Thank you." Elliot and I managed to smile, our hearts filled with a sense of accomplishment. We had faced the darkness and emerged victorious, our bond stronger than ever. As Samuel's spirit began to fade, he left us with one final message: live your lives free of fear and regret. You have done a great service to Harborview, and your bravery will not be forgotten. With those words, Samuel's spirit vanished, leaving us alone in the now silent chamber. We gathered the relics and made our way back to the entrance of the cove, our hearts lighter and our spirits lifted. Captain Hayes was waiting for us, his eyes filled with curiosity and concern. "Did you do it?" he asked, his voice trembling with anticipation. Yes, Elliot replied, a smile tugging at his lips. The curse is broken. Harborview is safe. Captain Hayes let out a whoop of joy, his face lighting up with relief. You've done a great thing, my friends. The town owes you a debt of gratitude. As we sailed back to Harborview, the first light of dawn began to break over the horizon. The town would heal, and the lighthouse would stand as a symbol of hope and renewal. Elliot and I had faced the darkness and emerged victorious, our bond stronger than ever. The eerie glow of the lighthouse contrasted sharply with the dawn breaking over Harborview. As we left Madame Elisa's cottage, our thoughts were consumed by the daunting task ahead. Our encounter with Morgana had provided some answers, but many mysteries remained. How could a healer so beloved by the town become the harbinger of such darkness? What else lay hidden in the shadows of her curse? Our journey took us back to the bustling heart of Harborview, where the morning light revealed a town cautiously emerging from the grip of fear. People moved with a tentative energy, their steps lighter but still laden with the echoes of recent tragedies. Elliot and I decided to visit the Harborview Historical Society, hoping that the town's rich history might offer further clues about Morgana and the origins of the curse. Inside the Historical Society, we were greeted by Mr. Langston, the town historian, an elderly man with sharp eyes and a mind brimming with knowledge. He had dedicated his life to preserving Harborview's past. His demeanor was a mix of curiosity and respect as he welcomed us. Mr. Brooks, Mr. Vasquez, I've been expecting you, he said, shaking our hands. I understand you've made significant progress in uncovering the truth about the lighthouse and its keeper. How can I assist you further? We need to know more about Morgana. Elliot began, his tone earnest. Who was she, and why did she curse Harborview? Mr. Langston's expression grew somber as he motioned for us to follow him to a back room lined with shelves of ancient tomes and artifacts. He pulled out a large, leather-bound book, its pages yellowed with age. Morgana was once a respected healer in Harborview, he began, his voice heavy with history. She possessed a profound knowledge of herbs and natural remedies, curing ailments that modern medicine couldn't touch. But her talents were not always welcomed. Fear and suspicion festered, especially when unexplained deaths occurred in the town. We listened intently as Mr. Langston continued. Accusations of witchcraft grew louder, and the townspeople, driven by fear and ignorance, turned on her. She was forced to flee, taking refuge in the secluded cove where she turned to dark magic, seeking vengeance against those who had wronged her. Morgana's curse was a manifestation of her fury, I said, piecing together the information. And Samuel Hartley's pact with her perpetuated that curse. Mr. Langston nodded. Yes, Hartley's desperation to save his family led him to Morgana, and in doing so, he unwittingly became an instrument of her vengeance. The curse required a new soul every decade, feeding Morgana's power and maintaining her grip on the town. The pieces of the puzzle were starting to align, but questions still lingered. Is there any way to ensure that Morgana's curse is completely eradicated? Elliot asked. Mr. Langston hesitated before replying. While breaking the mirror and confronting Morgana were significant steps, curses of this nature often leave behind residual energy. It would be wise to perform a cleansing ritual to purge any remaining traces of her dark magic. Do you know anyone in town who could perform such a ritual? Elliot asked. There is someone, Mr. Langston replied. Madame Elise. She practices the old ways much like Morgana did. She's well-versed in cleansing and protection rituals. You'll find her cottage on the outskirts of town. With gratitude, we thanked Mr. Langston and set out for Madame Elise's cottage. The journey took us through the outskirts of Harborview, where the urban landscape gave way to serene woodlands. The path was lined with tall trees and the air was filled with the soothing sounds of nature. Madame Elise's cottage was a quaint, ivy-covered structure nestled in a garden of vibrant plants and herbs. As we approached, the door opened, and a woman in her 60s with kind eyes and a warm smile greeted us. Welcome. I've been expecting you, she said, her voice gentle yet confident. Come in. Inside, the cottage was a haven of tranquility, filled with the scent of dried herbs and the soft glow of candles. Madame Elise led us to a cozy sitting area and offered us tea, which we gratefully accepted. "You've come to seek a way to cleanse the town of Morgana's lingering curse," she said, her eyes twinkling with understanding. "Yes," Elliot replied. "We need to ensure that her influence is completely eradicated." Madame Elise nodded thoughtfully. "Cleansing such a powerful curse requires a ritual of great significance. We must gather certain ingredients and perform the ritual at the lighthouse, where the curse was anchored." She handed us a list of ingredients, each one chosen for its purifying and protective properties. "You'll find these items in my garden and the surrounding woods. Once we have everything, we can begin the ritual." For the next few hours, Elliot and I carefully gathered the ingredients, guided by Madame Elise's instructions. We collected sage, rosemary, and lavender for purification, as well as a blend of salts and oils for protection. The task was laborious but also deeply grounding, the act of gathering each ingredient a testament to our commitment to the cleansing ritual. As the sun began to set, we returned to the cottage with our collected items. Madame Elise had prepared a large brass cauldron and an altar adorned with candles and crystals. The atmosphere was charged with a sense of purpose and reverence. "We will perform the ritual at midnight," she said, her voice steady and calm. "The energy will be strongest then, allowing us to fully cleanse the town of any lingering dark magic." At the appointed hour, we made our way to the lighthouse, our path illuminated by lantern light. The air was crisp, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of the herbs we had gathered. The lighthouse, once a symbol of doom, now stood as the site of our hopeful endeavor. Madame Elise arranged the ingredients around the altar and lit the candles, their flames dancing in the night. She began to chant in an ancient language, her voice rising and falling like the rhythm of the ocean. Elliot and I joined in, our voices blending with hers as we focused our intent on the cleansing ritual. The air around us crackled with energy, and the ground seemed to vibrate with a rhythmic pulse. The flames of the candles grew brighter, casting a warm, golden glow that enveloped the lighthouse. We could feel the darkness that had once permeated the structure beginning to lift, replaced by a sense of peace and renewal. As the ritual reached its climax, a brilliant light erupted from the cauldron, illuminating the entire lighthouse. The energy surged through us, filling us with a profound sense of connection and purpose. It was as if the very fabric of the curse was being unraveled, leaving only purity and light in its place. When the light finally dimmed, the air was filled with a serene stillness. The oppressive energy that had once haunted the lighthouse was gone, replaced by a tranquil harmony. Madame Elise smiled, her eyes reflecting the satisfaction of a job well done. "It is done," she said softly. "The curse is cleansed, and Harborview is free." Elliot and I thanked Madame Elise for her guidance and support. As we walked back to the inn, the night was calm, the stars shining brightly in the sky. The town was safe, and the shadow of Morgana's curse had been lifted. Harborview could now look forward to a future free from fear, its people ready to embrace the dawn of a new day. With the lighthouse standing as a symbol of hope and renewal, the town would thrive, its spirit unburdened by the darkness of the past. The cleansing ritual had not only purified the town, but also strengthened our resolve. We had faced the shadows and emerged victorious, our bond stronger than ever. Back at the inn, we settled into our rooms, our hearts filled with a sense of accomplishment and peace. The journey had been long and challenging, but it had been worth every moment. We had restored hope to Harborview and ensured that its future would be bright and prosperous. As we drifted off to sleep, the tranquility of the night enveloped us, a testament to the enduring power of light over darkness. Harborview would thrive once more, and the echoes of the past would finally be laid to rest. The dawn had barely broken over Harborview when the news of our ritual spread through the town. Whispers of the cleansing echoed in the morning air, and a palpable sense of hope began to permeate the streets. However, Elliot and I knew that our work was far from complete. Although the primary threat of Morgana's curse had been addressed, the residual effects of her dark magic could still pose a danger if left unchecked. we decided to revisit the lighthouse to ensure that no remnants of Morgana's power lingered within its walls. The structure stood tall against the horizon, its beacon casting a reassuring light over the town. The once menacing aura of the lighthouse seemed to have lifted, but we were determined to be thorough. As we made our way to the lighthouse, we were greeted by a group of townspeople who had gathered near the entrance. Their faces reflected a mixture of curiosity and gratitude, and among them was Mayor Thompson, who approached us with a look of genuine relief. "Mr. Brooks, Mr. Vasquez, I can't thank you enough for what you've done," he said, shaking our hands vigorously. "The town feels lighter, as if a great weight has been lifted." "We're glad to hear that, Mayor," Elliot replied with a smile. "But our work isn't finished yet. We need to ensure that every trace of Morgana's dark magic is eradicated." The mayor nodded in understanding. "Please, let us know if there's anything we can do to help." With the townspeople's support, we entered the lighthouse once more. The interior felt different, as if the very walls had been cleansed of their malevolent past. We began a meticulous examination of each room, searching for any remaining signs of dark enchantments. The keeper's quarters, where we had found Samuel Hartley's journal, held a particular significance. As we sifted through the old documents and artifacts, I felt a sense of closure, as if Hartley's spirit had finally found peace. Our investigation extended to the upper levels of the lighthouse, where the powerful light continued to shine. The machinery that powered the beacon was old but well maintained, a testament to the dedication of the lighthouse keepers who had come before. As we examined the mechanisms, Elliot's sharp eye caught sight of something unusual, a hidden compartment concealed within the walls. With careful precision, we pried open the compartment, revealing a collection of items that had clearly been placed there with great care. Among them was an intricately carved wooden box, its surface adorned with symbols that mirrored those we had seen in the cove. Inside the box, we found several ancient scrolls, their parchment yellowed with age. "These scrolls might hold the key to understanding more about Morgana's magic," Elliot remarked, carefully unrolling one of the scrolls. The text was written in a language that was unfamiliar to us, but the illustrations depicted scenes of rituals and enchantments. Determined to decipher the scrolls, we decided to take them back to the inn for further study. As we descended the spiral staircase, a sense of anticipation filled the air. We knew that time was of the essence, and we couldn't afford to leave any stone unturned. Back at the inn, we spread the scrolls out on a large table, their fragile pages illuminated by the soft glow of lanterns. Elliot and I pored over the text, using every resource at our disposal to translate the ancient language. It was a painstaking process, but our efforts soon yielded results. The scrolls detailed the origins of Morgana's magic, tracing it back to a forgotten era when powerful sorceresses wielded influence over the elements. Morgana had inherited this ancient knowledge and had used it to bind the spirits of the sea to her will. The scrolls also contained instructions for a powerful counter-ritual, one that could sever the bonds between Morgana and the elemental spirits, ensuring that her influence would be eradicated once and for all. The complexity of the counter-ritual was daunting, but we knew it was our best chance to secure Harborview's safety. The instructions were clear. The ritual had to be performed at the stroke of midnight, during a full moon, at the very site where Morgana had cast her initial curse, the secluded cove. Elliot and I quickly gathered the necessary ingredients for the counter-ritual, many of which we had already used in the previous cleansing. The key difference was the addition of rare herbs and minerals, each with specific properties that would amplify the ritual's power. We also needed to create a circle of protection using symbols from the scrolls, ensuring that the ritual site was safeguarded against any potential interference. As night fell, we made our way to the cove, the path illuminated by the light of the full moon. The air was charged with a sense of urgency, and the rhythmic crashing of the waves seemed to echo the beating of our hearts. The cove, once a place of fear and darkness, now felt like the battleground where we would confront the final vestiges of Morgana's power. We reached the ritual site and began our preparations, carefully arranging the ingredients and drawing the protective symbols in the sand. The moon's reflection on the water created an ethereal glow, casting long shadows that danced across the cove. With everything in place, we stood at the center of the circle, our hands clasped around the ancient talisman that had once been the source of Morgana's magic. As the clock struck midnight, we began to chant the incantation from the scrolls, our voices harmonizing with the sound of the waves. The air around us crackled with energy, and the ground beneath our feet seemed to pulse with a rhythmic beat. The symbols in the sand glowed with a soft, golden light, creating a barrier that shielded us from the dark forces we were confronting. As the ritual progressed, the energy intensified, and the water in the cove began to churn. The elemental spirits, once bound to Morgana's will, now rose to the surface, their forms shimmering with an otherworldly light. We could feel the weight of their presence, a testament to the power they wielded. With a final, resounding chant, we directed the energy of the ritual towards the elemental spirits, severing the bonds that had held them captive. The air was filled with a blinding light, and a deafening roar echoed through the cove as the spirits were released from Morgana's grasp. When the light finally faded, the cove was silent. The oppressive energy that had once haunted the site was gone, replaced by a sense of tranquility and renewal. We had succeeded in our task, ensuring that Harborview would never again fall victim to Morgana's curse. Exhausted but victorious, we made our way back to the town, the first light of dawn breaking over the horizon. The townspeople greeted us with cheers and tears of gratitude, their faces reflecting the relief and hope that now permeated Harborview. Mayor Thompson approached us, his eyes filled with emotion. "You've done more than we could have ever hoped for," he said, his voice trembling with gratitude. "The town owes you a debt that can never be repaid." Elliot and I shook hands with the mayor, feeling a profound sense of fulfillment. We had faced unimaginable challenges, but our determination and unwavering resolve had carried us through. Harborview was safe, and its future was bright. As we stood among the townspeople, the lighthouse's beacon shining brightly in the background, we knew that our journey had been one of growth and discovery. The mysteries of the past had been unveiled, and the curse that had plagued Harborview for decades was finally broken. With the town's support, we looked ahead to new adventures, confident that whatever challenges awaited us, we would face them together. The sea had whispered its secrets, and we had listened. Now, Harborview could embrace the dawn of a new era, free from the shadows of the past. The lighthouse beacon continued to shine brightly as a symbol of hope and renewal, but Elliot and I knew that there was still one final task that demanded our attention. While we had broken Morgana's curse and cleansed the town of her lingering dark magic, the threat was not entirely vanquished. There remained an unsettling feeling that something sinister still lurked in the shadows, waiting to strike. Our first priority was to confirm that Morgana's presence was completely eradicated. To do so, we needed to confront the source of her power, the elemental spirits she had bound to her will. These spirits, despite being released from Morgana's grasp, needed to be appeased to ensure they did not harbor any residual anger or malevolence. Our investigation led us back to the ancient scrolls we had uncovered in the hidden compartment of the lighthouse. As we delved deeper into the scrolls, we discovered more about the elemental spirits, creatures of water, air, fire, and earth, whose power Morgana had exploited to cast her curse. Each spirit represented a fundamental force of nature, and together, they formed a delicate balance that governed the natural world. The scrolls detailed a ritual that could restore this balance and ensure the spirits' cooperation in safeguarding Harborview. Elliot and I carefully studied the ritual, noting the specific ingredients and incantations required to summon and appease the elemental spirits. The ritual had to be performed at the precise location where Morgana had first bound the spirits, the secluded cove. With the full moon still high in the sky, we decided to act quickly. Gathering the necessary ingredients, we made our way to the cove once more. The path was illuminated by the silvery light of the moon, casting an ethereal glow over the landscape. As we reached the cove, the air was filled with a palpable sense of anticipation, and the rhythmic crashing of the waves seemed to echo our determination. We began our preparations, carefully arranging the ingredients and drawing the protective symbols in the sand. The elements of water, air, fire, and earth were represented by sacred relics that we had retrieved from the lighthouse: the talisman, the vial, the map, and the ancient scrolls. Each relic was placed at a specific point within the ritual circle, forming a nexus of power that would summon the elemental spirits. As the clock struck midnight, we began the incantation, our voices harmonizing with the sound of the waves. The air around us crackled with energy, and the ground beneath our feet seemed to pulse with a rhythmic beat. The symbols in the sand glowed with a soft, golden light, creating a barrier that shielded us from any potential interference. One by one, the elemental spirits emerged from their respective domains. The spirit of water manifested as a shimmering, translucent figure, its form rippling like the surface of the ocean. The spirit of air appeared as a swirling vortex of wind, its presence barely visible but unmistakably powerful. The spirit of fire ignited in a burst of flames, its intense heat radiating outward. Finally, the spirit of earth rose from the ground, its form solid and unyielding. The spirits stood before us, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and wariness. We knew that earning their trust and cooperation was crucial to ensuring Harborview's safety. Elliot stepped forward, his voice steady and resolute. "We have come to seek your forgiveness," he began. "Morgana bound you to her will and exploited your power for her own ends. We have broken her curse and seek to restore the balance that was disrupted. Will you help us safeguard Harborview and ensure that the town remains free from darkness?" The spirits regarded us with a silent intensity, their forms shimmering with energy. The spirit of water spoke first, its voice like the gentle lapping of waves against the shore. "We have long been bound by Morgana's dark magic, but your actions have freed us. We will aid you in restoring balance, but you must prove your intent." Elliot and I exchanged a determined glance. We knew that the ritual required more than just words. It demanded a demonstration of our commitment to protecting the natural world and respecting the spirit's power. The ancient scrolls had provided instructions for a series of trials, each designed to test our resolve and dedication. The first trial was the trial of water, requiring us to navigate a treacherous path through the cove's waters while demonstrating our understanding of the element's flow and rhythm. We moved with caution and respect, our movements guided by the natural currents. As we reached the end of the path, the spirit of water nodded in approval. The second trial was the trial of air, in which we had to demonstrate our ability to harness the power of the wind. Using the talisman, we chanted an incantation that summoned a gentle breeze, guiding it through a series of obstacles with precision and care. The spirit of air swirled around us, its presence a sign of acknowledgement. The third trial was the trial of fire, requiring us to control the intensity and direction of flames without causing harm. Using the vial of dark liquid, we created a barrier that contained the fire's energy, directing it towards a designated target. The spirit of fire burned brightly, its flames a symbol of approval. The final trial was the trial of earth, in which we had to demonstrate our connection to the land and our ability to nurture growth. Using the map and the ancient scrolls, we planted seeds in the fertile soil, chanting an incantation that encouraged their growth. The spirit of earth watched with a steady gaze as the seeds sprouted into vibrant plants. With the trials complete, the elemental spirits stood before us, their forms radiating a sense of unity and balance. The spirit of water spoke once more, its voice resonating with gratitude. "You have proven your commitment to restoring balance. We will aid you in safeguarding Harborview and ensuring that the town remains free from darkness." As the spirits receded into their respective domains, the air around us was filled with a sense of peace and renewal. The ritual had been successful, and the balance of the elements had been restored. Harborview was now protected by the very forces of nature that Morgana had once exploited. Exhausted but triumphant, we made our way back to the town, the first light of dawn breaking over the horizon. The townspeople greeted us with cheers and tears of gratitude, their faces reflecting the relief and hope that now permeated Harborview. Mayor Thompson approached us, his eyes filled with emotion. "You've done more than we could have ever hoped for," he said, his voice trembling with gratitude. "The town owes you a debt that can never be repaid." Elliot and I shook hands with the mayor, feeling a profound sense of fulfillment. We had faced unimaginable challenges, but our determination and unwavering resolve had carried us through. Harborview was safe, and its future was bright. As we stood among the townspeople, the lighthouse's beacon shining brightly in the background, we knew that our journey had been one of growth and discovery. The mysteries of the past had been unveiled, and the curse that had plagued Harborview for decades was finally broken. With the town's support, we looked ahead to new adventures, confident that whatever challenges awaited us, we would face them together. The elemental spirits, once bound by darkness, were now allies in protecting Harborview and ensuring that its future remained bright and prosperous. Our task was complete, but the journey was far from over. There would always be new mysteries to solve, new challenges to overcome, and new adventures to embark upon. And as long as we had each other, we were ready to face whatever lay ahead. The lighthouse, once a symbol of doom, now stood as a beacon of hope and renewal. Harborview would thrive, its spirit unburdened by the darkness of the past. And with each new day, the town would embrace the light of a new dawn, knowing that the forces of nature were on its side. The glow of the full moon slowly faded as dawn began to break over Harborview. The air was crisp and fresh, carrying the scent of the sea and the promise of a new beginning. Elliot and I stood together at the lighthouse, watching as the first rays of sunlight illuminated the town. It was a moment of serenity, a brief pause to reflect on the journey that had brought us here. Our efforts to cleanse Harborview of Morgana's curse had been arduous, but the sight of the town coming back to life filled us with a deep sense of satisfaction. The townspeople had gathered at the square, their faces alight with hope and gratitude. Mayor Thompson approached us, his eyes shining with emotion. "Mr. Brooks, Mr. Vasquez, you have done more for this town than we could have ever imagined," he said, his voice trembling. "We owe you a debt of gratitude that can never be repaid." Elliot and I shook hands with the mayor, feeling the warmth of the townspeople's appreciation. It was a humbling experience, knowing that our actions had brought light and hope to a place that had been shrouded in darkness for so long. As we walked through the town, we were greeted by smiles and waves from the residents. Children played in the streets, their laughter a testament to the renewed sense of joy that had taken hold of Harborview. The market was bustling with activity, and the aroma of freshly baked bread filled the air. It was a sight that filled our hearts with a sense of accomplishment. We made our way to the Harborview Historical Society, where Mr. Langston awaited us with a stack of documents and photographs. The historian had been instrumental in our quest to uncover the truth about Morgana and the lighthouse, and we wanted to thank him for his invaluable assistance. "Mr. Langston, we couldn't have done this without you," I said, shaking his hand. "Your knowledge and guidance were crucial to our success." Mr. Langston smiled warmly, his eyes twinkling with pride. "It was an honor to assist you both. Harborview's history is rich with stories, and I'm glad we were able to add this chapter to our town's legacy." Elliot and I spent some time with Mr. Langston, discussing the historical significance of our findings and the impact they would have on future generations. We knew that the story of Morgana, Samuel Hartley, and the elemental spirits would be remembered as a pivotal moment in Harborview's history. Later, we decided to visit Madame Elise at her cottage on the outskirts of town. The practitioner of the old ways had played a vital role in helping us cleanse the town of Morgana's lingering dark magic. As we approached her garden, the vibrant colors of the flowers and herbs greeted us with a sense of peace. Madame Elise welcomed us with a warm smile and offered us tea, which we gratefully accepted. "You have done a great service to Harborview," she said, her voice filled with genuine admiration. "The town is free from the shadows of the past, and its future is bright." "We couldn't have done it without your help," Elliot replied. "Your knowledge and guidance were essential to our success." Madame Elise nodded thoughtfully. "The old ways have always held power, but it is the intent and determination of those who wield them that make all the difference. You both have shown great courage and resolve." As we sipped our tea, we felt a sense of camaraderie with Madame Elise. The bond we had formed through our shared efforts was a testament to the power of collaboration and unity. The cleansing ritual had not only purified the town, but also strengthened our connections with those who had aided us. With the major threats neutralized and the town rejuvenated, Elliot and I took some time to relax and reflect on our journey. We wandered along the coastline, the rhythmic sound of the waves providing a soothing backdrop to our thoughts. The lighthouse stood proudly in the distance, its beacon a symbol of the resilience and strength of Harborview. One evening, as we sat by the shore, Elliot turned to me with a contemplative expression. "Miguel, this journey has been unlike any other we've faced. It's taught me a lot about the power of determination and the importance of standing up against darkness." I nodded in agreement. It has been a transformative experience. We've not only uncovered the secrets of the past, but also forged new bonds and strengthened our resolve. Harborview's story is a reminder that even in the face of great adversity, hope and light can prevail. Our conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Captain Hayes, the weathered sailor who had guided us to Morgana's Cove. He approached with a wide grin and a hearty laugh. "There you are. I was hoping to find you both here. I just wanted to thank you again for what you've done for the town." "It was a team effort, Captain," Elliot replied with a smile. "We couldn't have done it without your knowledge of the waters." Captain Hayes chuckled. "Well, it seems the sea has a way of bringing people together. The town is buzzing with excitement, and the harbor is busy once more. It's a sight for sore eyes." We spent the evening sharing stories with Captain Hayes, recounting the trials and triumphs of our journey. The camaraderie we felt with him and the other townspeople was a testament to the unity that had been forged in the wake of our shared efforts. As the days passed, we continued to help the townspeople rebuild and strengthen their community. We offered our assistance in various tasks, from repairing structures to organizing events that celebrated Harborview's renewed spirit. The sense of togetherness and optimism was infectious, and it was heartening to see the town thriving once more. One morning, as we strolled through the town square, we encountered a young girl holding a bouquet of wildflowers. She approached us shyly, her eyes filled with curiosity and gratitude. "Are you the ones who saved Harborview?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Elliot knelt down to her level, a warm smile on his face. "Yes, we did our best to help. What's your name?" "Clara," she replied, her cheeks flushing with excitement. "Well, Clara, it's not just us. Everyone in this town played a part in making Harborview a better place," Elliot said gently. "And it's people like you who will continue to make it even better in the future." Clara's eyes sparkled with pride as she handed Elliot the bouquet of wildflowers. "These are for you. Thank you for everything." As we accepted the flowers, a sense of fulfillment washed over us. It was moments like these that reminded us of the impact we had made and the importance of our work. The town's resilience and gratitude were a testament to the enduring power of hope and unity. With our tasks in Harborview coming to a close, Elliot and I knew it was time to move on to new adventures. The lighthouse, once a symbol of doom, now stood as a beacon of hope and renewal. The town would continue to thrive, its spirit unburdened by the darkness of the past. As we prepared to depart, the townspeople gathered to bid us farewell. Mayor Thompson, Mr. Langston, Madame Elise, Captain Hayes, and Clara were among those who came to see us off. Their smiles and well wishes filled our hearts with warmth. "You will always have a place in Harborview," Mayor Thompson said, shaking our hands. "Thank you for everything you've done." Elliot and I exchanged a final glance, our bond stronger than ever. We had faced unimaginable challenges, but our determination and unwavering resolve had carried us through. Harborview was safe, and its future was bright. With the lighthouse beacon shining in the distance, we set off on the road, ready to embrace whatever new adventures awaited us. The journey had taught us valuable lessons about courage, unity, and the enduring power of hope. And as long as we had each other, we were ready to face any challenge that lay ahead. Harborview's story would be remembered as a tale of resilience and triumph, a testament to the strength of the human spirit. And as we ventured into the unknown, we carried with us the memories of a town that had been saved from darkness and the promise of new beginnings. The sea had whispered its secrets, and we had listened. Now, it was time to listen to the whispers of the wind and the call of new horizons.